Welcome everybody to the launch of Imperial West. I'm Eliza Manning-Buller, I'm the Chair of Council. It's wonderful that so many of you have come today to celebrate really what is a great stage in the history of Imperial College. I am really excited about it, and I think all of you are, or if you're not, you should be. Building a new campus at White City is not a question of dividing Imperial College from South Cairn and plonking half of it over there. It's the opportunity to do something extraordinary in our relationships with business, with government, with charities, with academia, and with other partners who we can work with to deliver some really great results. Of course, when we're over there, we'll do the three things that we do here, and we try to do to an excellent standard: teaching, research and translation. Before I joined Imperial, I thought translation was, French to English, or in the mayor's case, into Latin. But actually, I now understand it's, in some ways for me, the most exciting part of the equation, because it's using what we learn and discover to solve problems, to improve the lives of people and their health, to contribute to the economy, and to create solutions. And that's very exciting. Now, in the audience tonight are a number of you who've made that happen to get to the stage we have got to. And I want not only to welcome you, but to thank you. Staff and students and alumni. Our business partner, Vereda, who has been critical. Local government and central government. Our friends elsewhere in academia. The NHS. Other business partners. And finally, our donors and supporters. And I'd also like to thank two special guests this evening. Boris Johnson, the Mayor, who has, and his office, supported this vision of a West London campus for Imperial. And David Willits, the government has given us, the Minister of State for Universities and Science, and the government has given us £35 million towards this vision, in particular to create the hub for research and translation. So we're tremendously grateful for that generosity. I'd also at this stage, and you'll hear more from Keith O'Nions, the Rector, about where we're going with this, but I'd also at this stage also like to thank the members of Council who have helped me and the university in getting to this stage. So thank you all for coming. This is a celebration and an exciting one at that.
Thank you, Eliza. May I add my own thanks to those of Eliza, to all of you who've come here this evening. Some 700 of us, more than 200 from outside the college. I'm going to tell you something about the Imperial West campus and the vision for it. So the starting point, I think, is that universities worldwide have become increasingly important in their nation's economic future. That is not only in producing educated, well-trained people that go off and be creative and build the economies, but increasingly important is, to use the word that Eliza has described so elegantly, translating our research into benefits for society, or new companies, or business benefits and economic growth. Now, Imperial College, as everybody knows, has been amongst the leaders in the UK and indeed worldwide in this venture. We're committed here to the view that there's much more that universities can do in this space, and indeed much more that they should do. Imperial intends to be in the vanguard of this. However, there is a challenge. The challenge is that we want to bring together an environment that brings research, technology, businesses, and other organisations to come and co-locate in what we might call an ecosystem. That, in essence, is the vision for a new campus with a new vision at Imperial West. Now, Imperial West is located at the heart of the London Opportunity area, and the seeds are already planted for this campus. The first phase is complete. The first phase is accommodation, studio accommodation for postgraduate research students, and 500 of them are already housed on an area that was formerly a site of the BBC at White City. The second phase, 150 million phase, which supported very graciously by the government with 35 million, will be the centrepiece of some of our presentations this evening, and I'll come back to that. There's a third and following phase, and actually a much bigger phase, for which we have planning permission for, which will add to that ecosystem and will include other activities in the coming years. This new campus has the benefit of being only 500 metres from the Hammersmith Hospital campus, where some of our largest investments in recent years are located in biomedical research. Indeed, it was only last spring that George Osborne, the Chancellor, came and opened a new medical science translation centre there. So the opportunity here is enormous. Now, let me turn to the research and translation hub, because this is the centrepiece of the next phase. This is the 150 million flagship project. The idea is that in this hub, we will bridge the interface between science, technology, medicine, healthcare, and business. It will involve some of the most rapidly evolving areas of discovery in innovative manufacturing, in next-generation materials, in molecular science and engineering. But it will co-locate those with space for spin-out companies to realise the economic benefits and fruits of that research. This will be at an unprecedented scale, not only for London but the UK. There will be space for 50 spin-out incubators co-located in that centre. Furthermore, there will be an equivalent amount of space for others to come and co-locate, whether they're businesses, other academic institutions, and help us build this ecosystem. In effect, we're starting with a blank canvas. We're starting with a blank canvas and a huge amount of buy-in, as Eliza has said, from the council down to the students, the staff at Imperial. This will allow us to make a step change in what we do. It's very rare that an academic institution has the opportunity to start with a blank canvas. Usually we're fudging around the edges. It's pretty much been our history here in recent years. This place is full. Perhaps only once or maybe less in a generation does this opportunity come along. So this is somewhere where we have academic buy-in to build this next phase in our ambition. When this site of 7 acres at Imperial West is complete, the investment total will be something around £1 billion. thereabouts. But it's going to be tackling within this ecosystem some of the research fields that are key to the major challenges that society, and indeed opportunities that society has in the coming years. These are areas that individuals, individual organisations, individual universities, individual businesses are unlikely to successfully tackle themselves. This is why bringing these things together into this ecosystem is of such great importance. It's also important for Hammersmith and Fulham, the White City area itself. The anticipation is this will create something like 3,000 jobs in that area. So this is quality opportunities that are coming into the Hammersmith and Fulham area. For Imperial College, this is a true milestone in our history and our development. It's a phenomenal opportunity for this university to stay in the elite league of universities globally. The competition's going to get tougher. Investments are huge in Asia, even in other parts of Europe. These are the sorts of investments that I'm absolutely confident are going to keep Imperial right up there. But it's great news for London. London's got an extraordinary concentration of intellectual talent, research and academic pursuit. It's hard to think of many places where you can commercialise that and where spin-out company opportunities lie, or there certainly aren't any science parks here in South Kensington. This is the first opportunity to do these things at scale. So it's great news for London. London is a magnet for talent, always has been. And the UK is one of the greatest success stories in higher education and universities. My closing comment is simply this. Imperial West is open for business. The vision is launched. It's real. It's not just an aspiration. It's happening. Imperial is bubbling with ideas at all levels. But we know there'll be lots of terrific ideas from people outside Imperial, other universities, business, NHS, healthcare organisations. This is an invitation to say, think about it. Come and join us. Finally, we have space. You can locate your activity there. Help us build this ecosystem. I hope now to bring this to life a little bit for you and show you a video of which you will maybe recognise one or two of the participants.
If we could have a blank sheet of paper, it will enable us to realise all our ambitions that we've had for years and years, to bring the groups of people that can't currently work together, to do the big experiments, the new experiments, all the sorts of things we've been trying to do for years.
Imperial College is about excellence. We're very good at what we do, we're a very good team to work with, and we aim to solve fundamental questions.
Innovation underpins everything that we do in terms of economic growth and ultimately solutions to human well-being and to environmental concerns. So it's a fundamental, and we need new spaces to innovate in.
London has long been a global hub for industry, innovation and scientific inspiration. The most connected city in the world, a magnet for talent, it's the perfect place to discover and innovate. And that's what we've been doing here at Imperial College, in the heart of London, for more than a century.
I think one of the greatest appeals of being an Imperial academic is the opportunity to apply one's research to the benefit of others. So, for example, industry, commerce and society more broadly.
We're already a world-renowned institution, but there are many occasions where I turn around and say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. We don't have the space, we don't have the time. So, by expanding, we can say yes to a lot more of those opportunities.
Collaboration is vital. Imperial cannot solve global problems alone. Our success relies on partnerships with business, industry, the healthcare sector, and other academic institutions across the world.
Imperial College is striving for excellence in everything we do in terms of our teaching, in terms of our research, but it's also about building a culture. And Imperial West, it seems to me, gives us just such a place where we can bring new academics together, work together, and do all the sorts of exciting things that we've wanted to do for years.
We wanted a space that was designed to bring together thousands of researchers and scientists with innovators and global business partners, so we could turn good ideas into brilliant solutions and make a real difference to the economy and society. That's exactly what Imperial West will do. The plan is taking shape. On the new campus in White City, over 500 postgraduate students are already based in accommodation of the highest quality.
I'm front of house receptionist, so I maintain front of house. I look after the students here. Anything they need, any queries, post deliveries, broken microwaves, that's what I'm there for. Now this is here, it's really good that we've got something else local, so all the local community will have job opportunities here.
This venture will bring something like 3,000 new jobs to this area. We're already the home to some world-beating enterprises and businesses, and to have Imperial here will be really great. We've got a very vibrant community, and we're very well connected to the rest of London and to the UK as a whole.
There's a clear connection between high-quality research and innovation, and at Imperial West, we'll make that link even stronger. It's something we're good at. Over the last decade, we've enabled more than 140 new companies to develop and commercialise ideas and inventions from Imperial academics. Imperial West will help us generate even more, and do it on an unprecedented scale here in London. DNA Electronics has already moved west.
I represent one of many spin-outs from Imperial College, but we decided to move to West London for two really important reasons. One was we've taken the academic science out of the institution into a place that really does allow people to sort of create gender productivity, but the beauty of where we are, we're very close to the Hammersmith Hospital, it's a great location for visitors. They see this as representative of Imperial College and its science and technology, but with that edge of commercialisation, and that's what really makes it.
The strategy is a powerful one: to build a new ecosystem for research and innovation that will have global reach.
We can see opportunities of working in ways that haven't been done before, to challenge science and business to come together in a 21st century environment to put ideas into practice. That means innovating the innovation process. We need new space to do that.
In new, affordable and flexible facilities, business and industry partners will tap into Imperial's expertise, keeping pace with the changing focus of scientific discovery. Global companies such as Shell see value in such collaboration.
Imperial West, as a major research centre now in London, will further contribute to the Imperial College and establish the college as a leader in innovation, and will actually contribute further, but also hopefully bring in other industries so that we can actually have a more combined R&D effort for the longer term.
Imperial is already a lively presence in South Kensington, and now with Imperial West focusing on translational research, on taking the great ideas from Imperial out into the wider world, it's a really exciting development. The government strongly supports it and look forward to seeing it thrive and grow in the future.
Imperial West will be an inspirational space focused on driving new ideas, new technologies and inventions, and adding value not only to Imperial College, but also to London, the United Kingdom and the global community. It's a bold vision, a step change in Imperial's ambition, and it's about to become real.
It's now my enormously great pleasure to welcome two people together so that I don't dance on and off the stage. We're very privileged to have David Willetts, Minister of State for Universities and Science. As you've already heard from Eliza, I think the vision that we have expressed here together this evening probably doesn't depart very much from the aspiration that David Willetts has for higher education institutes. We have Boris Johnson, the Mayor. Boris personally and the Office of the Mayor have been hugely supportive of us moving into White City. There is probably no greater champion anywhere who can articulate the benefit of these sorts of investments for London and wider. Without further ado, let me welcome again both and ask David to come and say a few words and then hand over to Boris. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Keith. It's great to be here today. And at one point I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to get here because of engagements in the Gulf. Last night, actually, travelling to Abu Dhabi airport, I found myself going past the Imperial College Diabetes Research Centre. The day before, in Dubai, I had been briefed on the work of the Imperial College Biobank. Today I'm at Imperial College. Tomorrow it's Imperial West, and of course beyond that the Research and Translation Hub. So I really do think you're beginning to live up to your name. And your ambitious plans for expansion are of course very strongly supported by the government. We've already seen some of the work that you're doing, not just here, but out west. I remember going with George Osborne for the opening of your the Imperial Centre for Experimental and Translational Medicine. And I can still remember the excitement for George and myself, both of us lay people, seeing how you were growing in the lab heart muscle, which in future can be used, of course, to treat people with heart conditions. And seeing this agglomeration of cells of heart muscle on the dish in the lab that was already beginning to pulsate like a heart. So we asked the question, when was the kind of Michelangelo moment when this started to pulsate? And we were assured that when you just aggregate enough heart muscle cells together, they start behaving like that. And I was reminded of that instant when we heard in the video we've just seen, one of your professors saying that at Imperial, your mission was to help solve fundamental questions. And that is absolutely what research and science is all about, and it's what Imperial stands for. Above all, it is intellectual curiosity, and that is worthwhile in its own right. But as you recognize at Imperial, trying to understand and solve these fundamental questions, of course, one of the reasons why you do it is precisely to take it out into the world, precisely in order to benefit your fellow citizens. And so that intellectual curiosity often brings with it the most profound and significant impact on the wider world. And that's why it's absolutely right to be working in partnership with others. And that's the thinking behind our research partnership capital fund, out of which we've allocated £35 million to Imperial. Because the days of conventional public sector capital, certainly when money is as tight as it is at the moment, it's very hard to find significant funding for that. So we designed a challenge. And I remember the conversation with the Chancellor, and he was very excited by the idea. If we found £100 million of public money and invited universities to come forward finding partners, that could be business partners, could be charitable partners, that brought in at least twice as much, we could have new public-private partnerships, creating new R&D facilities on university campuses across the country. And we launched that almost exactly a year ago. And then what happened was our universities were so smart, they had such good connections with business, that by the summer it was clear that even the shortlist of the best bids was going to involve much more than £100 million of public money. So we were able to persuade the Chancellor. He agreed we should put the public funding up to £300 million, and that's leveraged more than £600 million of private investment alongside. In fact, within a year, this has secured £1 billion of extra R&D investment on our university campuses. And this project that you are launching today is one of the most conspicuous and exciting examples of how that fund is being used. It's absolutely the right way forward for Imperial. It's to the wider benefit of the community. But it is of particular significance for London. And that's the point really on which I would like to conclude, because we're used to thinking of London as a great legal centre, as a great financial centre, as a great centre for culture and theatre and the arts. But London is also one of the world's great centres for universities and science. In fact, it has one of the greatest concentrations of universities and scientific institutions and of researchers that you will find anywhere in the world. And when I sometimes look at those lists of prestigious universities in America, and we're told how we have 4 in the top 10 and America has 6, the 6 in the US are spread across a continent. They are spread across thousands of miles. Our 4 leading institutions, and we're here at one, I won't name the other 3, are concentrated in an area that has London at its heart. So we can be incredibly proud of the dynamism, of the excitement, of the intellectual vibrancy of London. It is world-beating, and I can think of nobody who represents that and argues for it more forcefully and is a more powerful advocate of that than Boris Johnson, the Mayor of London. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, David. I'm sure you all know, I used to work with David. I'm sure you all know he's one of those men so brilliant that the only dilemma he really faces in life is which of his brains to leave to science. And I remember the joy of being your understrapper and going around universities, David, and talking to the scientists in their departments and sampling and trying out some of their incredible breakthroughs. I mean, the space satellites we saw in Surrey. Space satellites, an incredible device for facial recognition, I remember, in Southampton, and an extraordinary thing for improving your golf swing at Leeds Met. But one thing I regret was I was never allowed, very good course it was, by the way, I was never allowed to use a cyclotron, and they wouldn't let me, at no stage was I ever invited to fire a subatomic particle with great violence at another one. And I always felt a bit disappointed about this until, of course, I became Mayor of London and I realised I was in charge of the greatest cyclotron of talent anywhere in the world. A place, and to borrow a metaphor, Sir Keith already basically made the point, but nonetheless, a place where brilliant minds arrive, collide, and create that flash of inspiration, which has always been the source of every human advance. And like London has been such a cyclotron for centuries. I mean, why did Robert Hooke come all the way from Hampshire to London to formulate Hooke's law of springs? Which you all know. Who knows what Hooke's law of springs is? David. Hooke's law of springs, very important 17th century breakthrough. Strain is equal to stress. Strain is equal to stress. Very important if you're a spring. Damon Lyth. Damon Lyth. Ut tensio sic vis, by the way, is what it is in that. Why did Hook come up with that? It wasn't because he was sitting in some cottage in Havant or wherever, David, thinking about springs. It was because he came to London, and there in coffee shops he was forced into intellectual contention with other philosophers and virtuosi like Boyle and Flamsteed and Newton or someone like that. Plenty of others. And that's what I think you mean by the ecosystem. So the ecosystem, the cyclotron, the critical mass, the constellation, to use a meta from yet another scientific discipline. And that is what you are creating here at Imperial and Imperial West. And it comes at exactly the right time, I think, for London, because we're seeing something phenomenal happening in the London economy, in the shape of the London economy. It is changing. We are still the world's #1 capital for finance and indeed for business. More people involved in those services in London even than in New York, still, in spite of the efforts of our friends and partners in Brussels. And we are still, and we will remain that capital, the capital of finance. But we are also, of course, as David has rightly said, cultural and artistic capital. But we are the game is changing. And if you go to Tech City and you look at what's happening there, 40,000 people now employed in that sector. Look at the constellation, the cluster of academic health science institutions along the Euston Road. Look at what you guys are doing with Imperial West. And you can see that London is emerging as the innovation and scientific capital of Europe, if not the world. And our ambition, my ambition as mayor, is to keep driving that process along and to do anything we can to accelerate it. And here at Imperial, you've got, I think, the right answer, which is a place to capture the flash of inspiration, harness the bang, keep my metaphor going, and convert it into a wallop for the London and the UK economy. And that is what you're doing. And you'll be following in the footsteps, by the way, of all the great innovators who have made Imperial, I think, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, scientific institution in the world. I don't think anybody's going to contradict me on that. Certainly not in this audience. But in London, that is the home of the scientific breakthrough. After all, where was the first TV set in the world turned on? Ladies and gentlemen, anybody know? In a room above what is now the Bar Italia in Frith Street in Soho. Where was the machine gun, the first machine gun? Haddon Garden, also in London. Where was penicillin? The easy one now. Penicillin. So, which street? Parade Street, correct. Very useful thing to have after a night out in Parade Street. I'm given to understand. Which was the most important theory of the last 200 years, Sir Keith? Which would you say was the most important breakthrough, the most important scientific breakthrough that's done more than any other single theory to affect our view of man's place in the cosmos? Thank you. Very good. No, very good in about the 7th row there. The theory of evolution. Where was Charles Darwin when he formulated that theory? Which London borough? Anybody know, apart from Kit? He was in Bromley, correct. He was in Bromley. As I never tire of telling you, and if you go to Bromley and you meet the people of Bromley and you behold their natural, physical and intellectual advantages, you understand why there floated into his mind the doctrine of survival of the fittest and natural selection, ladies and gentlemen. But more importantly, I don't know if you reach into your pocket, I've got one of these beautiful things. Have you seen this? Do you know what this is? It's an iPhone. Which is cognate with an iPad and an iPod and everything else. Now, where was the man? Where was he born? The fellow who produced this absolutely beautiful piece of equipment. He wasn't born in California, ladies and gentlemen. He wasn't born in Romford. I can't, turns out not one in Romford at all. Where? It wasn't, maybe, I don't think he was born in Snaresbrook, no. I'm fairly certain, if Wikipedia is accurate, the man who invented this machine, or rather the man who designed it, the man who created its most important intellectual properties, the man who produced some of the most beautiful machines ever moulded to the hand of mankind, was born in Chingford, ladies and gentlemen, in Chingford in London. And when you go to Chingford and you look at the beauties of Chingford, you can understand how his aesthetic sense was formed and allowed him to produce this absolutely beautiful machine. And that is the spirit, the intellectual spirit of the iPhone. Not a Californian thing, but originating in our city. And I know that you guys at Imperial West will not only, as David says, rightly says, you will not only want to solve the fundamental questions of physics. I still don't basically understand why gravity works. So if someone could fill me in on that, I'd love to hear the answer. Why does your heart go boom, 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 as David has just asked? Great mystery. Why does toast fall butter side down? All those kinds of questions. You will not only solve, but you will make sure that those breakthroughs are put not just to the service of mankind, but for the benefit of the London and the UK economy. So congratulations, and up with Imperial West. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. That's the end of the formal and perhaps less formal proceedings. Let me give a special thanks to David and to Boris for joining us and finishing off the event. And thank you all for coming here this evening. It's not quite over yet. There are, I think, some drinks. And for those who are from Imperial, the SCR, I think, has some rather splendid offerings. For those guests from the outside, then we go downstairs. And there are all sorts of scientific exhibits. I think one that has already attracted the attention of the mayor, and that is some wonderful piece of bizarre new physics which can be adorned and invisibility prevails. Now, there may be quite a number of politicians around that think, you know, a little bit of invisibility cloak may... So please join in on those. Thank you again for coming, and we will go and have a toast to Imperial West. Thank you.